Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your man. What a way to start off. Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. Here at CavnesssHR, we're signing up companies to do our waitlist to help us with beta testing of our CavnesssHR platform. So you have a company of 400 or fewer people, your help will be greatly appreciated. You'll get 3 months of free HR, and be locked in for a better price forever. You can sign up for our waitlist at www.CavnesssHR.co. Once again, www.CavnesssHR.co. Our guest today is Jon Neff. Jon, are you ready to be great today?
Ready to be great.
Jon is a passionate, experienced entrepreneur with a demonstrated history of international business experience and a proven track record for developing and growing brands, creating effective sales, product, marketing strategies, and crushing quotas, while delivering exceptional levels of customer satisfaction. And he is also a U.S. United States Marine. So Jon, one thing, go this real fast. Like a lot of people, when they do things in the past, they'll say, I'm a former blank, I'm a former this, whatever the case be. No one ever says they're a former Marine, right? It's always you are a U.S. Marine. Even if you're a Marine like back in 1957, 1958, or you just came Marine today, you're always a Marine, correct?
That's right. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
So quickly talk about your time in the Marines. And so for those who don't know, this is actually Jon's second time on the podcast. Unfortunately, he's in Mexico. We'll talk about that later. So last time I was here, we had like 2 or 3 bottles of bourbon, had a really good time, so this would be a little bit more professional, so to speak. But the last time was definitely a whole lot funner. So Jon, what does it mean to be a Marine? Oh man, coffee, yeah.
What does it mean to be a Marine? To me, it was at a pivotal point in my life. I was a young man, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I knew more than anything else that I didn't want to stick around the town that I grew up in. There's a lot of things going on. And I decided, the best path for me would be to experience the world. And of course, I ended up at the Marine Recruiter's office. And, I've been asked a few times why the Marine Corps versus anything else. And the answer has always been the same. It was the easy one. It's because they have the best uniforms. That was my first attraction, I think. Of course, it's the world's finest fighting force. There's so many great things about the Marine Corps, and but really all branches of service. To me, it means having discipline and integrity, really doing whatever it takes to accomplish the mission in life, on the battlefield, in that example. 4 of the greatest years of my life for sure, and always look back on that very fondly.
So we're going to talk more about your entrepreneurship journey and living in Mexico in more detail. But can you talk a 2-part question? Part 1 is, how have the ideas and values of the Marine Corps helped you in your life and as an entrepreneur? And part 2, like the ideals of Marines, the military, ideals of military values are kind of high, especially Marines. How do you deal when you come across people who don't have those same high standards of values and characteristics? So how do you deal with that?
Sure. Well, it was a long time ago since I was in the Marine Corps. To me, it's just really the never give up attitude, right? And it's not being afraid to fail. You're taught to fail fast and fail hard. I think when you're going through training in the Marine Corps, at least from an early on standpoint, right? That's not the goal, is to fail, obviously, but you're taught that it's not always going to be easy. You're going to get knocked down. You have to get back up, and remembering that along the way. Sometimes when you get into that, for me personally, when I get into that tough position, and whether it could be as simple as I'm working out, or I'm trying to run a certain distance, or do something in a certain amount of time, and I often reflect on that time in the Marine Corps, and it gives me a lot of strength personally. And so I really just try and use that as a catalyst to, there's a lot of pride that comes with that title. It's an earned and not given title. And so I like to remember that when I'm having a hard time with something, or I'm maybe thinking I want to hang it up. I often reflect on that experience and those things that I learned in the Marine Corps. What was the second part? I'm sorry.
The Marines instills you this high character, high value, high standards, integrity, so on and so on. When you come across people who don't have these same high standards that were instilled in you, how do you deal with that? Like how do you do that? Because to me, I find that very frustrating sometimes.
Sure. I think you just try and surround yourself with the people that do understand that, right? That fit into that box. You can't change people. You can't even teach people at certain points in life. And so, I just try and surround myself with a lot of quality people. I think that's probably the easiest answer I can give you. I mean, we all have those uninspiring folks around us. You weed the garden, right? As time goes on, you really align yourself with like-minded people, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Not to say that I don't have friends and acquaintances that aren't in the same space that I'm in, and I think I've learned to be less judgmental and really just try and identify those people that don't fit that mold from a business partnership or a collaboration standpoint. I really want to make sure I'm well aligned with those people and that we have the same goals and values, and it's better to know that up front, obviously, right? And set those expectations. It's kind of how I go about it.
Yeah,
I'm a very relaxed Marine these days. Like you said, I'm in Mexico, and so nothing core has changed. I think just maybe with age and wisdom, I've learned to kind of identify those people that I think are of the same mold.
Yeah. Me and Bernard Minna was talking about this like a couple of weeks ago, like how if you think about your whole life, what percent of people in your life are actually like doing stuff, like actually adding value, like, like hardcore driving stuff, like making the world better, And it's a very low number you think about it. Most people just want to work a 9 to 5, do the bare minimum, you don't do anything. There's a very few of us who actually like, kind of like make the world a better place.
Yeah, I don't know if I've crossed that threshold quite yet, but I think in my own world, I'm in my family's world, definitely working on making the world a better place, and always aspiring to add value.
So all of us go through like what I think called like a lifetime events. I think they were called, right? Like weddings, funerals, graduation from college, birth of a child. But your family decided to do a life-changing event on your own, right? You decided to get up and move from Seattle to Mexico. So let's unwrap that, right? Like, first of all, why Mexico of all the places, and what was the thought process of doing that move?
Sure, good question. We did. It's been about just over 2 months now. We moved to Puerto Vallarta on the West Coast. And there were quite a few reasons, really. We just sort of felt like the rat race, COVID's changed everything, right? Nothing is the same. And I think that's the silver lining, really, if there were to be one, is that it opened up a lot of opportunities for people and for us as well. So whether it be working from home or learning how to work away from those core people that you're involved with all the time. So that was a big catalyst. The housing market was really great in Seattle. And, just looking historically, we felt like, if there's ever a time to have bought low and sell high, it would have been then and now. And so we wanted to take advantage of that. We have 2 little boys, and they're 5 and 7. So from a timing standpoint, we felt it would be a great time, without disrupting them too much. Of course, COVID had already done that. So this was just sort of something we had always had our eye on, and the timing really just couldn't have been better. And also, my wife grew up in Guadalajara, Mexico. And so her parents live here in Puerto Vallarta. And so, having that built-in community was really made it a lot easier. We've met a lot of expats, veterans, and non-veterans, people that have made the move, Canada, America, all over the world. And, it's definitely something that we have, that we're lucky to have, is that family and that kind of built-in community. So it was really never, the location. We had other places we talked about, but really PV is what we call it, was the one that we agreed the most on. I love Thailand. I floated that out there. My wife just changed the subject, and we
didn't even hear
talking
you
about something else.
I didn't even hear you.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one was, we love the Netherlands, and we thought that would be an equally great experience. But the weather here, we're in the rainy season, so this is the quote unquote worst time of the of the year to be here. But you know, it's a beautiful sunny day. It'll rain later today, but we just love it. And really, another one of my goals was that I wanted to move somewhere where I could wear board shorts and sandals every day. And so we've accomplished that. It's been
So John, and y'all drove down there, right, from the Seattle area?
So my wife, two little boys, they flew down, and I drove down with the dog, of course. That's yep. It was a interesting 5-6 day experience for sure.
I bet that's an adventure with your dog. Your dog is very exuberant.
He did a great job. Yeah, I was surprised. He's you know, kind of a puppy still at this point, and so he did great though. And it was, you know, you follow all the blog rules, right? Everything you read in TripAdvisor and whatnot. You drive during the day. You know, you stay on the expressways, and that's it. And so yeah, it was, other than being 116 degrees for 5 days, it was a fun little trip.
So when you and your family got to Mexico, and obviously you already have family there, a little community. When you got there, how were you like accepted already? Or you had to like prove yourself? How did you like get involved in the community there?
Well, we made a few trips down ahead of time. So we had gone through the school vetting process and decided where we wanted the boys to go to school. We had already rented our place. So we had somewhere to come to, and it was furnished. You know, I think that was a big key. We brought things down, but we didn't bring everything down. And so we sold a lot of our things and gave more away. And then when we got down here, we basically, you know, we had a place to live, and my wife's done a great job of joining pretty much, you know, every Facebook group, mom's group, kids group, you know, this group, that group. And so it's interesting, in Mexico, everybody works through WhatsApp. That's kind of like the preferred communication medium. And so either that or Facebook. And so there, you know, the phone's ringing a lot. There's a lot of things going on around us, and the people have been great. I mean, we, you know, in our community, a lot of kids, and so you know, a lot of friends hanging around the house, and it's been great. You know, I do my best to speak Spanish as often as possible. The funny thing is, a lot of the people that we've met, especially the Mexican nationals, you know, I think they're excited by meeting us because they want to practice English. So my Spanish is just kind of creeping along. It's like we have to take turns, you know, whose day it is to practice their new language. So it's been a lot of fun.
So you've been an entrepreneur pretty much ever since out of the Marines, pretty much. Like you come from Seattle. Seattle's known for like being a tech hub, entrepreneurial hub, so to speak. How's it there in the area now? Still a lot of entrepreneurship going on, or are you like one of the few entrepreneurs there?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a bunch of groups, digital nomad groups, things like that. So I think there's a lot of talent here. So if you're a tech company or otherwise, I mean, there's a lot of people in the digital nomad space. So that's made it easy to connect with like-minded people. There's also entrepreneurial groups as well. And it was always about the beach and, you know, margaritas. Things I was looking at kind of changed, right? Like my vision changed, and so to me, there's just a ton of opportunity down here, whether it be in the small business acquiring somebody's existing business space, or you know, looking at distribution opportunities, like what's available here versus what isn't available here, you know, and a lot of the things that we've come to know and love in the States. And, you know, it's really surprising. Like, I'll give you a weird example, but Keurig cups and the Keurig coffee machine, non-existent. Nescafe, which is owned by Nestle, really dominates the market. And so while I'm not in the coffee space, that's one of those things that doesn't take you very long to realize, like, there's next to no competition, and there's obvious reasons, right? I mean, logistics and having a team and infrastructure, things like that built in down here. But just from the onset, really, of settling in, realizing that there was a lot of opportunity here.
So
which is exciting. Which is exciting.
for those who don't know, can you tell us what is a digital nomad?
Sure. Digital nomad is somebody that works in the online space that is tied to a specific location, right? So some of the people that I meet, you meet a lot of developers, you meet a lot of programmers, social media managers, marketing and advertising people that are just really working online, and again, don't have to be down to one specific location.
So John, why are you
That would be my.
John, why are you an entrepreneur?
Why am I an entrepreneur? I like having the ability to not only create the vision and the path, but then to be able to lead the idea down the path. When I was younger, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I had a few different jobs, and people were always like, "Man, you should be in sales. You'd be so good at sales." And so I got into sales, and I realized that there was a lot of freedom that comes in that space, right? I mean, if you're at quota, people in general that are working kind of a regular job. And I've always been an idea person. I've just always kind of jotted ideas down and came up with. Some of them are wild and crazy and make no sense, and others are seemingly groundbreaking and unicorns in their own right. And it's exciting. I've been doing it. I've been self-employed as an entrepreneur for over 20 years now, and so I like to joke that I'm unhireable, which certainly it's not really the case, but it's kind of my own defense mechanism that I've put up. That it's like, I don't want to go into a different line of thinking, right? As an entrepreneur, maybe a different industry or a different focus, but yeah, I like having it on my shoulders, and I like the freedom that comes along with it.
I remember one time, I think you told me someone in your family, I can't remember, your mom or a cousin, some of your family basically said, "Hey, John, here's this great job for you at Boeing," or someplace like that. And you're like, "Do you even know me? Like, are you kidding right now? Do you even know me?"
Yeah, that was my mom. And, she was just, I think, probably watching her son, be split in 8 different directions. And there's a lot of stability that comes with it. I think, in your heart and your mind that everything's going to be okay. But to other people, they're seeing you, work excessive hours, or they're they hear about this idea and this thing going on and all these other things. And it's like, man, life was so much easier back in the day when you just, had a job and you went to work and then you retired. And I'm definitely not cut from that cloth. And so it was at Boeing, and I did tell her or question her on whether she knew me or not. And I think she still thinks I'm a little crazy for my chosen lifestyle. But yeah, I can't imagine really it being any other way. I would be very worried to have to go to a job, I think, where somebody else told me what I needed to do.
So from your time as being an entrepreneur, can you give an estimate like how many companies you started and how many have failed, how many have been successful?
Well, my first one, I was part of for quite some time, about 17 years. And so that was a great run. We built a great company. To me, it just became really, at the end, it was a job. And so along the way, with my adult ADD, driving me to chase shiny objects all over, I've probably created more business plans than I would actually care to admit. But you can always fall back, right? It's always plan B. So I think at this point, probably been involved with 5 or 6 startups. This last year, I had 3 simultaneously going on, which, I realized that at that point I had taken on too much. And of course, what happens then is everything sort of fails simultaneously. I can't say that I've I mean, there's certain examples of failure that I could, really weave into any one of the startups that I've started or been involved in. None have failed per se. There's been a not so glorious crashing down to earth that actually had, a bit of a silver lining. Yeah, I'm going to keep going. I still feel really great mentally and physically. And so, I expect to be involved in quite a few more.
So you might not be the best person to give advice on this based on what you just said, but a lot of entrepreneurs, they fall to the Sonic syndrome out there, right? How do you recommend people not fall to that, right? It was, I want to do this, or a new project, or my friend has this great business. And before you know it, like you said, you're in 3 companies full time, and that's not doable, right? So how do you stop that? Or should you stop it? You just do everything you can.
First of all, I'm super guilty of that. How to stop, I think for me, it was just, I kind of hit the wall, right? I mean, it was just too much going on, not enough energy being put into any one particular bucket. Always kind of hoping that I could find somebody to help, bring these ideas along. And really what ends up happening is that you stop giving your attention and your love to that particular thing. And you're hoping that somebody you can get involved will kind of have that same passion. I think as well as I do, and any entrepreneur out there, that that's just not the case, right? I mean, if you need to be vested to really, I think, give yourself and all of your time and to be willing to give your own money. So I think that's come over time. I've slowly learned that lesson. I think once you start on something, you either got to go all in or you need to find another project or hobby. And I think the people that have the luxury of really doing that have sort of eclipsed the entrepreneur role, and they're an investor, right? And so I always felt like I could put sweat equity or creativity into something and it would blossom on its own. And it's just really, for me rather, it hasn't been the case. It takes time, it takes full focus. And I think, an unwavering commitment and passion, right? Like you just have to wake up every day. You have to focus on that one thing.
So John,
I would advise against it personally. Stay focused.
So you're saying you're one of those do's I say, not as I do people, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I can't tell you that I'm like, the pinnacle of success when it comes to that. I mean, and that's okay. I mean, I've done great in a lot of things, and some things I've tried, but yeah, that would be my bit of advice is stay focused. Find that one thing and try not to chase too many other things.
So John, they always tell entrepreneurs or founders, don't give up, keep on going, keep grinding. If you give up, success might be around the corner, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But from your point of view, when should a founder or entrepreneur stop? Like, when should they quit, so to speak, and do something else?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's a super personal question, right? It's like everybody's got their own situation. I mean, is the company funded? Are you funding it yourself? Is your wife still happy, or your husband still happy, or partner, with the progress? Though obviously, a lot of those outside factors are major players in the whole scenario. I had to park a business that I feel really great about. It's an idea, rather. It's not a business yet, but it's an idea, and I was pushing pretty hard on it a year, 9 months ago. But really, in order for me to properly clean up my plate, that I was dealing with this sort of messy kitchen syndrome, I had to park that thing, and I've invested quite a bit of time and money into it. And I think about it often, so I haven't given up on it completely, but I had to prioritize a couple of different things, including moving to Mexico above that. And so, that's the thing, I guess what I'm saying is, like, you don't always have to, unincorporate, dissolve a company sometimes it's just better to, maybe park it and, just see where your path takes you. And it's always there waiting.
Jon, can you talk about the importance of those around you, like your closest loved ones supporting your entrepreneur, your entrepreneur dreams? When I say support, there's not a, hey, Jon, I support you, but I really support you. And you can really tell they support you, how important that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? I mean, you need to have, for me personally, quite a bit on my wife to help me, be able to see the forest of the trees, right? And what I mean by that is, if you're not getting that partner buy off, I think at the highest level, at least, for me, then there is no opportunity for me to do this, right? So it's critical. With your family, yeah, it's huge, right? I mean, if you do some sort of a crowdfunding campaign, or you do a product launch, or you're looking for people that just really want to help you spread the word without anything in return, I mean, that's really important, right? It's like your built-in family of ambassadors that are there to help you, whether it's to put product in boxes, or it's to share to their network the opportunity that you're involved in. So I think it's really, really important. I can't imagine doing it without my network, for sure.
So off the subject a little bit, you've been in Mexico for like 2 months now, right?
Right, just over 2 months.
So have you become a tequila drinker or mezcal drinker?
Good question. Yeah, I tequila is still more common here. Mezcal is kind of like the craft beer world 10 years ago, I suppose, in the States. If I were to pour either one of them over ice, I would probably use mezcal. If I'm going to have a margarita at the beach, I'll go tequila, I think.
So do they make the margaritas better there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah.
I think so.
So how have your kids adjusted to being there?
And in more flavors, by the way, of the margaritas. Kids are great. They, they're excited. They're lucky. They have both sets of grandparents are in their lives still. And so that's huge. They're really close with both of them. So it's been, they miss one set, but they get to spend time with the other set. And that went both ways when we were in the States and down here. But yeah, lots of swimming. We got down here. They weren't the best swimmers. They were a little timid toward the water, and now they're unstoppable. They're doing cannonballs and diving in, and that's a big part of our life. So we in our community, we've got a couple of pools. So we're at the pool once a day. We're at the ocean, a couple days a week. Ideally, to be making a couple times a week. So lots of outside activity, lots of walking, and just being outdoors. And so they're adjusting really well. School starts officially Wednesday. So we're looking forward to that. And it's a bilingual school. So, they'll do great. They'll pick up the language really quickly, and that'll be great for me. So I'll have more people to practice with.
And so have y'all been able to do like a lot of travel within Mexico itself, like taking like day trips in the car or something like that, or flying different places? You just pretty much been there the last 2 months?
Yep, pretty much mostly here. I went up to Denver. I was gone for about a week in between for the outdoor retailer trade show. We've been on a couple of day trips, but no, we haven't been on a plane and flown within Mexico yet, but we will. There's some amazing places, so definitely looking forward to it.
So I know in the past you've done a lot of traveling to China. Have you been able to go back to China recently, or is it still like on lockdown because of COVID and everything else going on?
Yep, fully locked. Well, not lockdown, I'm not sure, but our ability to go there right now, no, not at all. Last place I went besides Mexico was Singapore, December 19. So just before COVID really got going.
Okay.
So yeah, I haven't been back to Asia, but looking forward to the day when we get to do that again.
So Jon, next let's talk about your Kickstarter you just recently launched for Campo Designs, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So first, before we talk about Kickstarter, talk about Campo Designs, like where the idea came from, why you got started, where the company's at right now. What's your master vision for the company moving forward?
Sure. Yeah. So Campo is a brand that we built when I was introduced to this tent, and it's a tent it's the only tent in the world that opens and closes. It's got a hub that allows it to have varying degrees of being open and closed, and so my wife and I love the idea of having a direct-to-consumer brand. At my former business, it wasn't really a big part. We started quite a ways before the direct-to-consumer boom happened, and so at that company, we never really made that pivot in a big way. And so I was really interested in trying out a direct-to-consumer brand, and so we built Campo Designs really for that. And the premise was that we'd be able to offer really high quality, super well designed outdoor products, outdoor lifestyle. So not backpacking, but really just, if you go to the beach, what do you need to have a great day? If you're camping and you're just a casual camper, what do you need to have a good time? And so, we thought that we could design this high quality yet affordable gear and be able to go direct to the consumer. Having been in the retail distribution business for a long time, I saw tons of brands that had great products, great brands. There's only so much shelf space, right? There's only so many aisles and category space that you can fill as a brand. And a lot of the big guys are they've got the whole entire store covered. And so we just thought this would be a great way to build an online community, and then offer super cool products to them direct. So that was kind of like the vision, right? And so we launched the company a couple of years ago, and COVID happened. So we needed to, we essentially parked it. We weren't sure where it was going, and we hadn't launched anything. And so, we had this brand that was productless. And so we launched on Kickstarter about 15 days ago now, with the Escape M4. That's the tent I was talking about. And yeah, it's gone well. It's, I've never done a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding campaign before, so I wasn't completely sure on, you just never know, right? I mean, we have a super cool product. It's very unique. It's patented. It's not on the lower end of the price spectrum. And so, it's one of those products where every time I've ever used it, somebody's come up and asked, like, where did you get that thing? It's super cool. Like, how does it work? And so people are really intrigued by it. And so, I think we're at 230% funded at this point. And, so we're going to launch it. We'll be delivering those in the spring. And so really the brand product roadmap will grow. And enjoy that experience is kind of the path we'll follow.
So John, how many versions of the tent are there, or do you plan on having, or will this be the one?
So there's two really, but one of them is gigantic, like upper door, a 6-foot tall door in it. So we've got that basically built into, from a sample standpoint, we've built these. The commercial one, there's just one. So there's one style. The reason is with the way it functions is we've tried to, it's got 7 poles. And so not to get too much into the tent, but you can't, the way it functions, it requires all of the poles. And so for now, we're going to go with one. We'll probably unlock a second color here soon. And, once you experience the tent, it's just one of those, like, a lot of people say, I'll never need another tent. This thing is perfect. I can go to the beach with it. I can go to my kids' game with it. I can go camping with it. It's all the things that I would want like a proper camping tent to be, but it's all the things that proper camping tents aren't too. So.
Now, I could be remembering this wrong, but I believe that you actually did user research and you did like some kind of customer survey or user survey, and your potential customers picked the color of the tent, correct? And they picked, and then they pick a color that you didn't think they would pick.
So we did a lot of color testing, yeah, definitely, and that's like Pandora's box, right? everybody's got their own flavor of colors. A lot of people like to have all of their gear match. We ended up going with the original color of the tent, and mainly because as we were going through the content creation phase, the only samples that we had were in the original color, the green, the black, and the yellow. And so we didn't want to confuse the consumer as to what we would be delivering to them. And so we stuck with the original color, which is, it's a great color. But we definitely want to expand on the color choices. And yeah, I mean, it was interesting. You know, I didn't think purple and silver would be one of the most sought after colors, but it was. And, you know, I think it just lets people kind of speak to their own personality. The problem, obviously, when you're talking about manufacturing and a high ticket item like this is the minimum number of units that you have to buy is quite high. So, you know, for every color that we want to invest in is, you know, it's $50,000, if not more. So it, you know, makes it a little difficult to get too carried away.
So John, you use the term product roadmap. Now I know a lot of tech people know what product roadmap is, right? Basically like how you're gonna build a product over time, what features. But I think a lot of people forget, even with like non-tech products like tents or cars, you still have a product roadmap. Can you talk about how you and your team decided on your product roadmap? And how you make sure you stayed on course with that?
Yeah, well, so we've only launched one, right? But we do have 6 or 7 more products designed, built, and ready to go. It's a lengthy process. I'm not sure in the tech world per se, but in the manufacturing of goods, designing of goods, sampling, you know, all the things that come along with it, the R&D, it's a lengthy process. And so, you know, you need to have an idea of where you're going to go with the brand and the product roadmap, right? How that all ties together. Otherwise, you end up with, I think you take the opportunity plays that come along. And this happened to us early on with my first brand is, you know, we didn't really have a brand. So we started naming all of our products individually. And eventually what you ended up with is this really like confusing set of products that belong to this brand who, you know, as buyers and retail distribution goes, you know, they wouldn't buy coffee cups from me, even if I had the greatest coffee cup, because, you know, I'm a tent brand, for example. And so at least this is really how it was back in the day. And so I think the importance is it gives you direction, right? Like if you don't know where you're going, you just end up taking any opportunity that comes your way. A long time ago, my first business, this is a perfect example. We were at the Colorado State Fair, right? Selling hammocks. And that was what the first business was. And we saw, you know, we were doing good. Like we'd sell, you know, $1,000 a day or something. It's, you know, not bad for being a hammock nomad. And, but we saw this booth that was constantly busy. It was just like packed all day long. So we ended up talking to the guy, and they were selling these like candles, these reflective mirrored candles. And, you know, this kid's telling us, you know, he's doing $8,000-$10,000 a day. And we were like, wow, we could really use that kind of money to help us, you know, get our program going here. And so we started buying from them this product, which we would then extend off of our booth at these, you know, direct to consumer, except like literally direct to consumer, you know, like where people would give you money kind of shows. It's just kind of a funny memory looking back on that and remembering like how far off of our target was these expensive, you know, take up a lot of space, fragile products that we were really hustling. It was just all about that. So that veered us off course. And so because we didn't have a proper product roadmap, we didn't know. We just wanted to make money, right? And so if you're a hustler and you just want to make money, then it doesn't matter. But if you're a brand and you're trying to like create this path, you know, you need to stay in your lane at certain times, and your brands need to make sense to your product as much as your brand makes sense to your product as your product does to your brand.
So back to the shiny object syndrome thing. I think you can do that on product roadmap too. Like, so what is your process? I mean, I make this up, right? You build on the tent and someone says, you know what? It'd be great if we have like Alexa, Amazon Alexa built in here. like, how do you like squash that, right? Like, oh, that's a great idea, but it might be 10 years down the road. Like, how do you like stop that without, killing creativity, so to speak?
I think discipline, right? I mean, everybody's got an idea, and it behooves you to listen to them. But I think once you have that roadmap charted out, and you say, look, this is our brand, these are the products that we want to offer, here's why that makes sense. You just try and stick to that plan as much as possible. So much opportunity comes along, right? You have to stay committed to that plan and that strategy. And for us, it is a lot like that. It's kind of our own use, though, right? It's like when we use the else we need and want, right? Through doing tons of research, what do consumers buy when they buy X product? They buy this and this and this. It's like when you go on Amazon, often bought with this product, and you get all these sort of different ideas. Some of those make sense and some of them don't, right? It's like somebody bought a tent and then they bought, a briefcase, and then they bought an air freshener for their house, right? That obviously doesn't make sense. But for us, it's really like, how do we go out there and enjoy the day in the outdoors, or weekend, or a week in the outdoors? And what are the things that we need and we think will make us more comfortable? And that's really kind of who we are as a brand. It's all about lifestyle. It's all about comfort. It's less about how much something weighs. How compact is it? It's like, we always used to joke, right? If we're going camping, we're wheeling something behind us. And if we're not, and that's our cooler, right? And if we can't wheel it, well, we're not going there. This was always sort of our attitude about it, because it was all about fun, right? And getting in the outdoors and just having fun.
So John, without giving out any secrets, like, how's your tent built, right? Is it like built 10 at a time, 100 at a time in a factory? Like, how's that all that work?
Yeah, no, definitely in a factory. The MOQ, minimum order quantity, is 500 units at a time. And so up for, economies of scale, right? I mean, if they build us a sample, I think the last sample I paid for was like $1,500 for one, right? And so the factories these days, the supply chain is so incredibly busy. Even getting samples anymore is really difficult. Like, I tried to get another sample the other day. We've got a distributor in Japan that wants to start selling our tents. They need a sample, and so but the factories, they're not really in a position where they need to or want to create samples for people. And when they do, they're going to charge you 10x, what you're paying wholesale. So kind of a tricky proposition these days.
John, how do you make sure the people make the tents for you meet your quality standards?
Yeah, so good question. For the better part of the last 20 years, that's been one of my main roles, is being at the factory, overseeing that quality, working with them, evolving the product, making sure it's as good as it could possibly be. These days, it's believe it or not, in China, it's all about WeChat, right? That's kind of their Facebook, WhatsApp, and everything rolled into one Zoom. So we definitely meet with our. I'm working with an agent, basically, at this point, just to ensure they're in China, so they can ensure that quality is there. They can make any product development updates. They can test the product. They can show me on WeChat, and we can walk around and look. It's different. It's a lot more cost effective, I'll tell you that. But it's something that had to be kind of reprogrammed, right? I mean, it's a different ball game now, for sure.
John, how do you
and that comes? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, a lot of people that I know have never been to China. They work exclusively with and through somebody. Like, I would never recommend that. I like to know who my partners are, and so this company I've known for quite some time, and so there's a lot of trust there. I could see how these days it'd be a little sketchier, for sure, sending your money all the way across the world without really any kind of personal connection. But I know people are doing it, so.
Yeah, I'm like, I could never do that.
Yeah.
Besides, they just used to go to visit China anyway.
Exactly.
So John, talk about the decision-making process in deciding what materials to use, like what fabric, what materials to go to poles, all that kind of stuff. Because I'm sure they have like far-reaching consequences deciding what to put in there, right? As far as cost, economies of scale, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. I think experience, in the industry for a long time, understanding what's out there, paying attention to the trends, working with, designers and your factory partners as well. It's a big collaborative exercise, really. I mean, to get to the right place. Oftentimes when you sample things, you're not going to get the color you want. You're not going to get the material you want. You're not going to get the finished product that you want. And so again, it's back to that trust, that super important trust piece, right? Where it's, for a fact that person understands what exactly you're trying to build, and that when you go to production, that's what you get. So you've been telling people what you're going to deliver to them. So it needs to be that. Yeah, I mean, and obviously the cost, right? It's like, you need to understand like what price point you want to be at, and kind of build according to that, as opposed to just building the Ferrari and then realizing that you're in the Chevrolet market, right? And that happens a lot. I think that's like super common, really. But we've learned over time, we definitely want to start with that price point, kind of understand what fits in that box, and with a good partner, they're gonna be upfront with you from the go, so that you can make those educated decisions moving forward.
And do you plan to be direct consumer forever, or do you eventually plan to go to stores like REI and Dick's Sporting Goods and those kind of stores that sell it there?
I think with Campo, it'll be a hybrid model. So we've got some products in the pipeline that we think there's margin, right? I mean, some of them are, you really like when you look at our tent, for example, it's an expensive product for us to buy. So when you look at, as it touches more people's hands, like where does it finally end up as a price point? And so that one doesn't really allow a very good retail distribution partnership. Other products that we'll launch will. And so, it's interesting. I look at a lot of the kind of pioneers of the big direct-to-consumer brands, and the way they started was exclusively direct-to-consumer, and to the point where retailers would finally ask them, like, well, what's it going to take? I mean, we'll raise the MSRP for you. We'll take less of a margin. We really want your brand in the store. And so I think that's probably, that's the spot to be in, right? When you've created such a demand online, through social media, through your marketing efforts, that the retailers come direct to you, that's a big win for sure. I mean, and I think what's really great about the outdoor industry is as like specialty retailers go. I mean, 2008 had happened when the economy went bad, the real estate market, again, due to COVID. And, you got some amazing retailers in this space. And these guys have reinvented themselves. They went from brick and mortar to like the hybrid model, where they started selling to their consumers that love going into their store, REI, I mean, but not just REI, like mom and pops, like smaller retailers. So I think that's pretty exciting, and it's been pretty fun to watch. And so I'm not opposed to going into that retail world. It's just that certain products will work for us in some way.
So, John, I'm presuming that everyone you were like everyone who enjoys the outdoors or camping or being in the outdoors to buy your product. Having said that, who is your, like, I think the right term is customer avatar, right? Like, who's your target customer? Like someone like is a hardcore camper and goes like every day? Is it someone who like camps once a year? Or what's your niche, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the tent in particular, it's families, it's casual car campers, a couple and the dog. Versatility in a product and value. A lot of our friends, they don't own any camping. They go off a couple nights, rains. It's windy, it's nasty outside, and they go camping 2 years later, right? So, I think people that we're looking for are people that are again, they want to go to the beach, and they've got a great shelter at the beach. They want to go camping. They've got this tent that they fully be dialed into camp. They want to use it at the park, at a festival or something like that. So yeah, I think that's kind of like with our products, we always want to have more than one way that they're intended to be used, so that we do add that value, and people use the product.
So John, how many people can fit in the tent?
How many could fit in it? Oh, geez. I mean, I think if we were doing like stuff people in a car, I think you could get, 10. But it's who's it designed for? We call it a 4-person. You could easily put 4 people of gear, a couple air mattresses, a dog, a couple kids in there. It's a big tent, as compared to a lot of the ones that are on the market.
So John,
I think if we were really going for it, we could get a lot of people.
Even there, stack them on top of each other, military style, make your buddy happy, so to speak.
Exactly.
So John, talk about what you're doing on social media for your company to advertise the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. Because the tent's unique, because it doesn't function the same way that normal tents do and shelters do. When we first started the campaign, we were focusing on just beautiful still imagery, really trying to capture that moment, and that's good and bad. And that's part of our positioning that we've learned a lot during this exercise, during the 15 days of being live. We ended up taking our campaign video and chopping it into little 15-second snippets, and then basically advertising with those, with one of the beautiful still images on top, so it's like the thumbnail. And then, and the reason we did that was that we started getting feedback where people kind of thought they were only buying a beach shelter, and who would spend this much money for a beach shelter? And, really the feedback was great. And that's where I think it pays off. You got to check your ego, and you have to listen to what people are telling you about your brand and your product, and how it's being positioned and delivered to them. And so when we pivoted into the video shorts, we really saw our engagement pick up a lot. We saw our customer acquisition costs go down. People were spending the full 15 seconds watching the whole video, really getting to know it. And the questions basically, went from 80% of the people having a question like, how does this work? Does it zip? Does it, whatever the questions were, down to like 10% of the people, which was a much more acceptable number. And so we really saw our signups increase then, and we saw the engagement go up quite a bit too.
Yeah, I really like what you're doing on TikTok too. I really like your videos on TikTok. I don't know if they're paying off for you or what engagement you get, but I just like the way the quality videos there of the story you're telling on TikTok. I think that those are really good.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's it's a new world, right? I mean, we can see videos for anything and everything, like all day long, and that's how people are interacting on social media, right? We're swiping, and just looking for that cool little, my attention span is shorter than a goldfish's, so you better get my attention quick, and it better compel me to take action in some way, whether it be to follow you on social, to give you my email, to give you my money, any number of those things. And I'm just like every other consumer. And so it's funny, a lot of the feedback, it's not always great. It's like people are pretty harsh. You're just like, dang, do I know this person? Do they actually is there this weird past history with this person? And you've got your trolls, and then you've got the people that are just delivering a message in the way that they know how. And that was an internal discussion that we had, really in the beginning. It's like, how do we manage the social side of this when people aren't kind, they aren't accepting, and frankly, they're just like rude and nasty, they're letting you have it. And so we made the decision to, unless it was like offensive or bad language or something like that, to not hide those comments, because we wanted people to know that we're authentic, and we're launching this product. We think it's amazing. People are gonna have an opinion, and we don't want to shy away from those opinions, and we want to listen to the feedback that the consumer is giving us, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to make the decision to support our brand and invest in that product. So yeah, but for me, I'm really thick-skinned, right? Like, kind of as a human goes, it's hard to offend me. But when you pull back the curtain and show the world, this is our baby, this is what we're launching, this is what we spent all this time and energy and money on, and they start hammering on you. It's I've been asked not to engage with people, late at night or at the end of a long day, things like
But
that.
it's so hard not to though.
Yeah, it is. And it's cool. It's interesting that a lot of people, there's a lot of good people. There's more good people than bad, or happy than mad, I think. But just kind of trying to like quell people's bad attitudes, or like, hey, I've actually seen this thing and I've actually used this thing, and you're wrong. So it's pretty cool to see, your supporters support you.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Before you had 100 comments, probably 99 of them would be positive, or at least either positive or at least neutral, right? But there's always that one who like this jackass, right? But there's always that one who gets on our nerves. You want to, fight back. We just got to learn not to do it. It's something I got to get better at too.
Yeah, but it's the one person that's like actually trying to rally supporters against you. And you're like, what is going on here? Like, you just wish you could pick up the phone and be like, hey, can we talk about this? Like, what's your deal? And I think people just have their deal. Maybe it's a competitor. Maybe it's an old business partner. Maybe it's an old, girlfriend. I don't know who it is. It's now we just kind of sweep them under the rug, and we try and address their feedback. And again, we're not going to fight with anybody. If it turns into some sort of a weird, like there's some drama or something, we'll just move the conversation elsewhere.
So, John, of the feedback you received so far from Kickstarter, did any of the feedback surprise you? Something you didn't, you like totally left field you did not expect at all? Whether it's positive or negative.
The negative doesn't surprise me so much. I think it's nothing really either way. I mean, just a lot of like feel good moments where, people are like, man, that design is just amazing. Like I've thought about something like this similar. I could see me using it for this, that, and like stargazing, for example. Like, I'm not a star. I love looking at stars, but I'm not like I don't take a telescope and like, I'm not serious about it, right? But there's this whole world of people that are, and they're really drawn to our product, and so that's kind of a cool thing, is to add that one more new little, hey, stargazers like our product too. Is kind of a fun thing to do.
So we're gonna come back to your Kickstarter in a minute. Next, I want to go to the co-founders and employees. Talk about the challenges of bringing on co-founder relationships, employee relationships at an early stage business.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, speaking to this business specifically, my wife is my co-founder. Technically, she owns 51%, so I guess she would be the super co-founder. But no, we collaborate really well. She was gainfully employed in the corporate world, and so we would always work on the project late at night. And that's, I really value her opinion and her input. And she's super organized. Most of the things that I'm not, she makes up for, and I think vice versa. So that was pretty easy, right? I mean, we just had to make a commitment. There are rules these days. We don't talk about it. Certain nights when the kids are awake, we don't talk about it after dinner. We've had to like create some boundaries around it, which is healthy, right? Because if it was me, or if it was up to me, like, I would talk about it all the time. And my wife's like, take it easy. Just go watch ESPN, or go watch something, go for a run, go do something. So that one is, I think you have to be careful in that space. We've done a good job of navigating in and around that and working well together. I think if you're starting your own business and you're looking to bring a co-founder in, there's some great resources out there, some great books. Splitting Pie was a book that I read that I really liked, and it helped bring a lot of understanding for me. I think a lot of people, like, we all have these ideas and we want them so badly to get off the ground. And you meet someone and they're like, that's a cool idea. Like, I'm into this, I want in. And you're like, okay, boom, here's half, right? And then you find out a month later that you haven't talked to them. There's nothing happening, nothing going on. And all of a sudden you're in a bad position. And so I think it's important to learn more about that before you kind of make those equity giveaway decisions. Because we're all so keen and so passionate to do this. Again, it's like somebody wants to help, you just want help, right? You're like, man, I'll give you half of nothing if you just help me. But then that half of nothing could become, that could become a handcuff though, right? Like if you finally figure out that combination and you bring some good employees on and people join your company and you start growing it, that half that you gave away, that may become a problem for you. So it's, I think be cautious, right? Just make sure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I think one thing people gotta realize, like, if you make someone a co-founder, employee number one, give them X amount of equity, pay them $100,000, whatever the case would be, they will never be as passionate about your business as you are, right? And people don't get, like, people hear all the time, why doesn't employee X love this like I do? Well, it's not their business, right? Like, you can't expect them to do that. Now, you should expect that do like add value and make the company better. Why they can be all in as you are, like, probably not.
Right. It doesn't make sense. Like when I first started out in the entrepreneurial world, like, everybody, I would meet people and they'd say, oh, I'll build you a website for free, friend. And then 4 months later, you're like, hey man, can I build that website? And so, that was the first lesson I learned, like, ain't nothing free, right? And then you start hiring people and you think, man, like, this guy really gets it, or this gal really gets it. I want to give them part of this, and maybe that'll make them work harder. And I think in a lot of instances it does, but in a lot of cases it doesn't. And so, yeah, it's a good point you bring up. It's your baby.
So John, next, can you talk about your Kickstarter in more detail, like why you started it, what's going on with it, your goals, and also you can like maybe share your screen to show maybe a couple of videos or your actual Kickstarter campaign?
Sure, yeah. We wanted to crowdfund it because it's obviously a huge marketing machine, right? You're able to show a lot of people what you have going on. You're able to get backing so that you can go to that first round of production without spending having to raise money elsewhere and or spend all of your money. And so, excuse me. That was really kind of, and I always wanted to do one. I just thought it was like super interesting, right? It's to see the coolest cooler, for example, raised $13 million. Of course, they crashed and burned, but there's just a big market of interested people out there. And I think if you put good content, you put a good product, a message, and brand out there, you can get good results. So I just got a notification a minute ago. We are at 225% funded. We were looking to raise $20,000, so we're at $45,000 at this point. The good news is we're funded, and it's successfully funded, and it's still growing every day. Honestly, like we had higher hopes, but I do think there are a couple things that are very, very prevalent, and those would be timing, and the outdoor industry has just done amazingly well. But right now, a lot of the feedback and sentiment we're hearing is people just aren't sure where we're going, and is there going to be another variant? Is there going to be some states are locked down, other states aren't. It's just kind of an uncertain time. Without getting into all of that, that's just sort of the general consensus that we're hearing and seeing. So that's part of this, I think. And then I think positioning would be another. We've got, again, like I grew up, I spent a lot of time in Hawaii when I was a kid, and we would always beach camp. And so that's one of my favorite places to camp. I love being at the beach. And so we kind of leaned in really heavily on our marketing efforts for what we like. And so, shifting part of the way through and saying, hey, just due to feedback, kind of reworking our messaging was a challenge for sure. And so learned a lot. I really believe in the crowdfunding world, and definitely won't shy away from it again. We chose an outside partner to help with the marketing efforts, and because we just weren't sure what else was involved in this scenario, this combination to successful crowdfunding. And so I think, in the future we'll do it again, and we'll have learned from this one, and we'll ride this success into even more successful campaigns in the future. But yeah, let me show you the video.
While you show the video, can you explain how you came about picking the amount of money you wanted to raise, and can you talk about how you decided the amount of time to do the Kickstarter for?
Yeah, sure. So in the crowdfunding world, one of the most important things is to get funded as soon as possible. That creates a lot of social proof. People feel more comfortable getting involved in projects that are funded, so that they know their money isn't just gonna, they're gonna get emotionally connected to this thing that they want really badly, and then the project fails, for example, and then there is no delivery. So we really wanted to fund, right? We want to get funded. That was our number one goal, was like, even if we have to then, throw in, more of our own money to get this thing to market, we were okay with that. We just really wanted to also get a lot of feedback and see what people thought about it. And so that kind of helping us build our foundation. So we went with a relatively low number, 20,000, to help get us there. And obviously that does not pay for the cost of production, right? So the goal is to continue growing that, and then to be able to deliver that first round. So we'll be able to do that for sure in early spring. And yeah, the video was shot on location in Tulum and Acamal, Mexico, with a friend of mine who's an amazing videographer. And so this is our campaign page here. And so it's the Escape M4 is the name of the tent, 2-in-1 full tent or retractable shade cove. And so choose your adventure sunshade. And so
John, quick question. For your 124 backers, do they get anything extra for being like one of your first backers?
They get the super early bird discount, which is 40% off if you buy one, 45% off if you buy two. So that brought the price down to $299 and $275 for one, or $275 for two units. And then we are unlocking any day now basically like a freebie for all of those backers that have already backed, and then moving forward. So, once we hit that, I think it's 45,000. So we're, $12 away. Once that happens, we'll be unlocking some beach totes that go along with this. And so some other cool little things to help reward those people that have helped us get to this point, and then moving forward. And so, yeah, this is the Kickstarter page. And so this is kind of what I was telling you, it can be fully open all the way to fully closed here on the right, bottom right. And there's this is my first big modeling gig / voiceover. So I'm the voice on the video as well, which has always been one of those things I didn't ever imagine that I would do, but it was a lot of fun. And then these are some of the little snippets here, shorter videos.
That guy looks familiar.
Beach again. Yeah, you've seen that guy before. And then down here, we went into a setup video, and it's pretty funny. If you look closely at the video, well, these are some still shots. It's on our YouTube channel as well, but it was probably 100 degrees with 95% humidity that day, and we were in the jungle. So, I was huffing and puffing and sweating, and it's actually pretty funny for me to watch this because, knowing what I was going through during that particular time. And I'll tell you what, just working with a bunch of different video people and photo people, I've gained a lot of respect for that profession. It's a lot of work when you're out there in that cooking sun. And for me, the model hearing, do it again all day long, it's just like, what is going on? And I think it's good. And they're like, no, it's
exactly.
Not good.
That's perfect. No, it's not. Do it again. What?
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I'm hungry. I got to get out of here. And of course, that day I got my wallet stolen. my keys to my car, we weren't in my car, and my sunglasses. So that was like the double whammy on that day. So that was my Welcome to the Jungle of Mexico video shoot there. But this is this was the campaign, or is the campaign video. Oop. I'll just show you real quick here.
So how do you find all these models for the ad?
Yeah, so my good friend Jeff Brockmeyer, who lives down in Tulum, did like tons of this front end work for us, which was huge. Want me to stop sharing, or?
Oh, you keep it playing because we actually can't hear the sound because
Oh.
you have your headphones on.
Okay, yeah. So he was able to find, you know, a lot of these people are digital nomads themselves. They're down there, you know, they happen to model before, maybe they're still modeling, kind of looking around the world. Yeah, it's just sort of, he was able to find all these people, and you know, this guy right here that we're looking at lives locally down there. And so he was able to get us into a cenote. So that's where this particular part of the video is being shot. Which was amazing. You know, it's funny, you know, looking back and thinking about a lot of the shots from the video, and this is, you know, obviously advice that I would give to anybody. I mean, if you're going to do a crowdfunding campaign or even launch a product, you know, our videos, it's beautiful, right? It's like a great video.
It's very nice. Very nice.
But in spite of that, and we thought that we had covered all of our bases. You know, we showed opening and closing. When it's closed, you zip it up, it's a tent, right? And even so, like, it just didn't, not everybody that saw the video or has seen the campaign fully understands it. You know, maybe they don't watch it all the way through, and you know, they formulate an opinion in a really short amount of time. Or did we really nail that message hard enough? And so important to show it to as many people as you can, and really, again, look for those opposing views and those people that are like, you know, giving you that really good critical feedback. Like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. And so, because I think that's the easiest way to like, you know, send people in the wrong direction. You know, if they don't understand it, then they're not going to give you their money.
But then obviously, you know, you can't have like a 10-minute video either, right? So all the details. So how do you do the balance? Something short enough to get attention, but not, you know, too long, because.
Yeah, that's the trick right there, for sure.
So when does your Kickstarter end? Is it going to go on for a while?
It goes on till September 9th, I believe.
Okay.
So we've got 15 days to go. Yep. And, you know, like you see here, it says so it's September 9th, exactly.
Okay.
It was an all or nothing campaign. And that's one of the things that Kickstarter does is it's all or nothing. On Indiegogo, you can say, hey, I want to raise 50 grand, but I'll take 10, because that would be helpful to us. Us, we figured, you know, if because of the amount we'll have to output personally, that if it didn't hit that 20K number, you know, maybe we had a problem, and we want to go back to the drawing board, or figure out what exactly would compel people to want to back the project.
So John, once someone buys your tent, how do they take care of it? Like, is it a special way they got to wash it or clean it, or like, how does that work? Or is this like any other tent? It's pretty standard.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. I mean, I cleaned ours up the other day from our time at the beach, and it was full of sand. It was, you know, it was dirty and half wet when I put it away. And so I just took it out, sprayed it off, rubbed it down with a washcloth, hung it up to dry. Just when it was about to be fully dried, it rained and got all wet again. But it's okay. You know, they're made to take that. The sun, they're made to take the rain, and so. Yep, just basic care. Just, you know, treat it like you like it.
So John, you might not know this, but from the 124 backers, like, does a certain percentage come from the States, or from Texas or Colorado or Mexico or somewhere else?
Yeah, no, we have full visibility of geographic location, and yeah, we know who every backer is, and so we can, advertise. For the most part, we've focused on the U.S., although we know we have a big UK following from when the product was called the Mollusk Food Tent. Previously, it's a different product, but similar. So we know we have a big following in the UK. The major issue that we're having with opening it up outside of the US is the cost of shipping these days. I mean, it's gone through the roof. And so, you're selling an already higher ticket item, and for us, like, it would be impossible. Like, we'd love to ship it for free, but literally we'd lose money on everyone. And so, that's kind of one of the great things about it. I think crowdfunding is that you get a discount on the item. When you build it all back in, a lot of people are like, hey, it's cool. I love supporting you. I didn't get like 40% off retail after I paid for shipping, but I got 10% off. I got to help this brand I like launch. I got to support a product that I think is really cool. And that's kind of the spirit of crowdfunding, right? It's like, if you're just looking for a good deal, I mean, you can go on Amazon and, that's some of the feedback. Like, I could buy something on Amazon for $99. It's like, what's stopping you? Like, you should, I mean, we know we're not like the end all be all for everybody, but we think we've got a pretty cool product.
So I know you probably couldn't do this. It's probably too expensive, but would it have been possible? Like, you have 124 backers, like you have the first one, tent number one, like having the number on the tent, or that'd been too much to do?
It's a cool idea. It would be tough. I mean, unless we just took a Sharpie and
yeah, that's, I think,
number
probably too
one
tough to
and
do.
sign it. Maybe I'll do that.
Actually, that's not a bad thing. Put like a sign by Jon Neff, something like that.
Right. I don't know if that's worth more or less. I think, it really, when people back these, they know they're one of the first. Maybe we'll change the color, right? So this green and yellow one, we hit 300 units here. We roll 300 out, and then we switch the color up, and so you've had V1 limited edition color, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a good idea. I think another good idea too to spin ideas, like maybe pick a random customer, one of your backers, and like do like some kind of like content over how it went from the factory to them, their first camping trip, something like that. I think that'd be a cool idea too. Like the whole customer story from purchase to when they actually use it. Of course, there'd be a lot of money involved probably. So.
No, I agree though. I think it's a neat idea and we definitely plan on leveraging, our customer content. This is one of those items where people will be inspired to when they're out there having fun to share that. And so that's, to me, I've always thought that's a good litmus test, right? It's like, if somebody walks up to you and they're like, that thing's cool, whatever it is, I like your coffee cup. Where'd you get it? Right. You're onto something, right? If people will create content for you, I mean, what a great position for a brand to be in, right? Like, I bought this from you. I think it's amazing. I want to take pictures. I want to share it with my friends and family, and I want to share it back to you as the brand. And then you give them that same love and feature them. That's a really positive two-way street.
So, John, anything else you want to share about your Kickstarter campaign?
You can, if you'd like to support us, you can go to Kickstarter and type in Campo Designs. We would love to have any and all support. And if not, just be on the lookout for Campo Designs. We've got some great products coming in the near future. And yeah, I think it's a great product. So you won't be sorry if you buy one.
So, John, is there anything I sort of asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I'd say something cool about like the Olympics, but I don't know if that was. I think it's over. It's interesting being down here in Mexico. Like how quickly you can disconnect from current events in the world. No, so I think I'm good.
So that's like a good point. So you're down in Mexico, disconnected. Like, of course, now in the States, Afghanistan is a big thing. What's going on with that? Whether you agree, disagree, whatever. Is it the same type of news coverage of that in Mexico? Or is that not even on the TV?
So we don't have cable. I actually haven't had cable in my house for a long time. Not to say we don't catch up on news. I don't really know on the local channels. My Spanish isn't quite good enough to turn on and hear a newscaster deliver the news at 200 miles an hour. That's the thing. Like, my Spanish is at a very slow, very understandable pace, and I think it's a beautiful language. But when somebody is really talking beyond your skill level, it's like impossible. But we've met a lot of expats down here. It's interesting. I think the reasoning why people end up moving, to Mexico, and one of those is like just really not wanting to have it's been crazy 8 years, right? I mean, we've up and down and all over the place, and so it's been really good for us to kind of disconnect from that. And like I was saying, the people that we've met down here, it's like we all sort of have that same kind of vibe, right? You just want to like focus on your kids and your family and your business and your life, and not let that like sensationalism that the media in the US brings kind of get in your way. And so that's been really a huge blessing for us. It's just kind of stepping away from that.
Jon, can you share your social media so people can reach out to you?
Sure. We are Campo Designs. So it's at Campo Designs on Facebook. Facebook is just Campo Designs. And then on Instagram, we're at Campo Designs. We don't have a huge Twitter presence, but then again, on TikTok, like you mentioned, it's Campo Designs as well. So.
And for our listeners, we have the links to his...
type in Campo Designs.
And for our listeners, we have the link to his Kickstarter campaign and his social media on the show notes. You can find the show notes at www.CavnesssHR.com. And don't forget to sign up to CavnessHR waitlist to help with our beta testing for our HR platform at www.CavnesssHR.co. So, Jon, we're coming into our talk. Can you give us any advice or wisdom, anything you want to talk about?
I think I've laid it all out there today. Enjoy life. It's interesting. The one question a lot of people are, like, how's it living down there? And I'm not promoting Mexico or anything, but really just this long time coming thing. And I don't know how long we'll stay here, maybe forever or maybe, a year. But big world out there, and don't, go explore it. Don't get stuck in that rut of, being drowned by the media and COVID hopefully will be gone one day soon, and live your life, have fun.
That's a great point. Like, how many people have a war view and never left like their hometown, right?
A lot. And I think that's one of the things that, yeah, exactly. Once we get back to normal, I think you're going to see a big boom in travel, and people are just want to get out there and explore the world.
I hope so. Jon, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. I had a good time.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. And remember to be great every day.